Okay, co-host is over there someplace. So I was doing new book releases for 2026, and I came across this book, The Shadow Friends, and it was by an author I knew, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know she had another series going, so I thought I'd check it out. And I read the first one the other day, The Spy Coast. And today I read book 2. There's only 3 books in the series, so we have to wait until the book comes out to talk about it. So it should be out in a month or so, or has come out. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But oh, this is the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kustina. This is where we books talk about new books. No special effects, no theme music, no fancy schmancy stuff going on here. And we have our bunch of people, our group, our martini group, who are ex-CIA, ex-spies, ex-stuff. You know, one of those I'd have to kill you if I told you type situations. Anyway, so we have Maggie and Ben and Declan and Ingrid and Lloyd. And they are becoming quite friendly with Joe, who's the acting chief, who becomes the chief at the end of the book. So we have these people. They have cabins around a lake, you know, those vacation cabins where people go for the summer. And apparently this I did not these people, they hadn't done anything. They hadn't done a single thing. Nothing. They had done nothing, and I thought they were evil. I don't know why. They did absolutely nothing, and I thought they were evil. Okay, so they're driving up to Maine, and apparently their dad. Some of them is their dad. Some of it's a husband. Some of it's a grandfather. But they're driving up to Maine in the car with the grandfather's urn in the trunk, because they're going up and they're gonna do the funeral up in this Maine town and scatter the ashes in that type situation. And they go up there, and the husband, Ethan, he's having writers. I think I got the husband right. Let me just double check this before. Uh, no. So Ethan, the husband, he's a writer. I still think I'm getting that wrong. Ethan, the husband. All right. So he's a writer, and he's just got writer's block, and then he gets up there and he gets this inspiration to write the story, and he starts writing his story, and he starts ignoring everything. Nothing else becomes, and I've been there, and I've got this book that I need to be doing, but I am not going to be doing it, because if I start doing it, I get tunnel vision, and I become obsessive compulsive, and it ruined 10 years of my life. All right, so there was 39 books. I'm serious, hand to God, 39 books. But I should have been working in a regular. My life would be so different if I had regular employment back then. But that's a whole different bill of wax. So anyway, he gets this inspiration, and his daughter was hanging out with Callie. We don't see that. Most of that happens off stage. Callie is Luther's daughter, and they are neighbors of Maggie, our head sleuth. And all of that happens off stage. It doesn't happen on stage. We are told about it later. And apparently she was spending the day with Callie, and that's where her parents thought she was, spending the day with Callie. And apparently she came home at some point during the day to change clothing, and because her father was like this and tunnel vision, he didn't see her, talk to her, nothing. But he knows she was there. He remembers her being there briefly because she was changing her clothes. She had a situation, a personal one. She had to change her clothing, and she went out to the lake, and she was never seen and she was missing. And the mothers, the people, the rest of the families, she's okay, she's just a teen, she's off, whatever. But she wasn't responding to the mother's phone call, she wasn't responding to the mother's text, and she calls the police, and like the family's just so nonchalant about it. You just want to and you're expecting the husband to be a killer, you're expecting this one to be a killer. You expect that your mind goes in all these different directions because these people just feel evil. They're not, but they just yeah. So another thing, this is like a Patterson book where it's all right. I have to say, I appreciate the fact that when a character gets a POV, they get an entire chapter. I will. That's the positive note that they do get their complete chapter. There are some books out there that they POV here and then an extra large space and then the next paragraph is a different character. I do the credit to the book is that each character gets their own when they get their own POV, they get their own chapter. But all these different, and then sometimes you're not even told, so you have to assume who the speaker is just by the topic of the chapter. And most of the time, that's Maggie and Joe. You're not really specifically told it's them. You just have to assume from the people in it and the conversation in it who it is. So the kid's missing, and there's this big search for this kid, and then they search the lake for a body, and they come up with bones, and the SHIT hits the fan, and the mother's panicking, she's screaming and yelling, and not practically having a heart attack. But the bones, and this one particular article from the 70s leads them to believe it's this particular person, and they start this big research for this person to find out what happened to this person, this lady from way back when, and they end up finding, they go down this rabbit hole, and they do find out stuff, but going down that rabbit hole distracts when the stuff is finally revealed that they did a skeleton reconstruction. Have you seen those videos with the people put the mud or clay on the face and they dip it and they put the eyeballs in, and it shows you who the person was, and it determines that it wasn't this other person, it's a different person, and that's when this guy falls out. They do eventually find the kid, but she's been seriously injured, requires hospitalization. She has a little bit of memory loss when she finally comes to, and then you get the crescendo of the whodunit and which one of these characters did it and which one of these characters hurt their relative and what happened and yet my thing is that I didn't quite get all of it. I didn't quite understand all of it. I didn't get I didn't get that much. I didn't get the full payout. So it was a lot. And maybe I missed it in my getting towards the end of the book. But I missed the payout. I got 75% of it, but I missed the key point. And I'm not, it was just over my head. So I apologize for missing the key point. So there's a lot of complicated, she gets into such detail, she dives into, it wasn't the genealogical rabbit hole that the other book was, but she does go into the past quite a bit. And you just got all these people. You got Susan, Susan, the wife, and you got Ethan, and then you've got George, who's the father who's deceased, who's the guy that's being buried. You got Elizabeth, who was George's wife and the mother-in-law to these peeps. And Zoe, Susan's daughter, who is the victim in this story. And Colin, and then Brooke, and then Kit, and then Arthur Fox is a friend of Ethan's, and we've got Hannah Green, and we've got Reuben Tarkin. And Reuben Tarkin's dad was a serial killer. And the why was never told to anybody. It was one of those big hush-hush programs that they got away with in the 70s because people didn't have cell phones and cameras and technology back then. So that leads to another rabbit hole of stuff. So anyways, I gotta think about what to read next. Oh, did you see that to be read pile the other day? And I was like, if, and I decided to go with this one because, it was the second book, and as long as my head was in that space with these people, I was gonna go there. I wasn't gonna stop the series and then come back to this. I never would have got to the second book. So now we gotta wait for the third book anyway. So, hey, if you could do me a favor and check out Star Trek Next Generation recaps or Star Trek Voyager recaps, I'd appreciate it. If then Friday afternoons, if you like this author, you might like that author. There's over 200 of those videos out there. JD Robb Saturdays and unboxing Sundays and or ARC extravaganza videos. I gotta start doing one of those. I gotta put that together. And of course, my daily book reviews. Oh, and hey, Flashback Monday. And I need some suggestions for that for the future. We're getting to the end of that. So, anyways, have a good one.